Georgia State tomorrow. What do you know about them? 5-3, good offense, good three-point shooting team. But what are your thoughts on them?
Well, they're really an older team, number one. I mean, they won the Sun Belt last year in the regular season. They're very, very well coached. Rob Lanier was at Tennessee and helped build that program for Rick Barnes as an assistant there prior to going to Georgia State 3 years ago. He's a very good coach and is very experienced. They're older. I mean, they have guys that are sixth year seniors, fifth year seniors. Um, and their three guards are really a problem in terms of matchups because they can all really shoot it. They're all averaging 15 points a game, and I'm talking about Roberts, Williams, and Allen. All three of those guys are excellent shooters, excellent scorers that can score in different fashions. You know, they have very good depth coming off the bench. Number 10, Nelson, is a good shooter as well and playing really well. So you know we've got our hands cut out, and they're a team that's coming in trying to beat the high major team on the road, and they're very very talented. Scary group.
Paul Jones, go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned after the game the other night that Cam was having some kind of hip issues. Any update on him?
It's just about the same right now. I know he's in the training room right now getting looked at because we're going to practice here in about an hour, and we'll see how it is today. Because yesterday when we got back, yesterday we didn't do anything full speed on the floor. I kind of felt like after going 4 straight days really hard, they needed to have a day of kind of rest physically going into this week because there's a lot going on in terms of playing Tuesday, Friday, and not a lot of rest in between any of the games. So
what was kind of
we'll see.
What was kind of your message to the team after the game the other night? And obviously that's two close games you guys have lost.
Yeah, this one was different, Paul, because we were up for 34 minutes of the game. We were up 8 with 6 minutes to go, and it's about completing the task for 40 minutes. I mean, we were an 8-point lead, and we come down, and two guys come together, and one of them calls out switch, and the other one doesn't switch, and all of a sudden we leave a guy wide open on the other wing. He hits a three to go from 8 to 5, turn it over, goes to 3, and then another turnover goes to 1, just like that. And we got to be tougher down the stretch of that game because I was really pleased with how we played for the most part, especially defensively against a really good Colorado State team. It's an NCAA tournament team, no question. They're going to be in. I mean, their net ranking is really high, and that would have been a great opportunity to get a really positive win that we let slip away. And again, it came down to our execution offensively, only shooting 33%. And that's 2 games in a row where we've really struggled from 3 and struggled offensively.
John Sokoloff, hop on in there.
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Hi, John. How are you?
Good. My question was kind of going off what Paul's was, but how would you assess your team's late game execution this season, and do you want to see it improve, and where would you like to see it improve?
You know what? Of course, we want it to improve because it's hurt us in our last 2 games, in particular. And in late game, 6 minutes to go. I don't know if you call that late game. It's down the stretch though. I mean, when you're protecting a lead, to let it slip away that quickly is really really troubling. And we watched the whole game yesterday with the team so we can learn from our mistakes and try to improve and get better and see what's happening. And it's something that we've got to get better at, no question, and really understanding, grinding out those last minutes of a game. The level of everybody, both your opponent and yourself's got to be at the very highest, and it was for them, and we just didn't get it done. Either end, we had 2 turnovers when we were up 8 that turned into easy baskets for them, and you just can't do that. We only had 9 turnovers for the game. I mean, I was pleased with when you look at the numbers, 9 turnovers for us has been one of the best of the year.
Stefan, go ahead.
Ben, just wanted to follow up there. You kind of mentioned just, the frustrations of, the last couple of games for you guys. I mean, what's the message to the team, to make sure, the frustrations of the last two games doesn't carry over to another game or another one after that and kind of start that domino effect?
I don't think it's something that you say that you cure that by, verbally doing it. You got to do it out on the floor. You got to do your practices. Starting number one, you got to do it by studying the film and really locking in and really making it important. But it starts in practice every day, and then you got to carry it over to the game and execute.
Just to follow up, obviously a tough shooting night for Iverson there against Colorado State. I mean, is that a guy you have to say anything to after a game like that, or does he kind of take that on his own?
No, we watched the film. Indeed, he's watched the film twice, so you can really learn and see. They're obviously really ganging up on him because he's our leading scorer, and that's going to happen. But he's got to let it come to him. And he missed some open looks, shots that he's normally going to make in that game, especially in the second half. He had one from the top of the key where he's wide open. It was in a transition mode, and there was no one within 10 feet of him, and he missed it. And he normally just doesn't miss those shots. So I'm confident he's going to be fine because he puts the work in. He puts the time in. And he's just got to relax and not press. And that's something that, we've talked about.
We'll go up to Lexington and Jerry Tipton. Jerry, hop on in there.
Yeah, hi, Ben.
Hi, Jerry.
There's been a noticeable number of empty seats in Kentucky games, and I've read that the Arkansas coach sort of expressed surprise that they didn't have bigger crowds for some recent home games. I'm wondering if you've noticed anything like that, less attended games and what you would attribute it to.
You know what? In our case, we had a good home crowd the last time we played against Minnesota. It was on a Sunday afternoon, so it was a good time for people, because we're kind of isolated for a weeknight game. It's a little harder for people coming from Jackson, et cetera. But, obviously the COVID thing is still out there. It's not lost on some people. The Omicron thing is still kind of, out there. And I'm sure that affects some people in terms of the decision, what they're doing with their lives. And then beyond that, I'm not sure.
And I just wonder, just generally, how do you think your team's playing right now?
Well, we're coming off 2 losses, Jerry, so we're not playing good enough.
Thanks.
You bet.
Andy, go ahead.
Hey Ben, I'm in the car going to the airport, so I apologize. My video's not on for you. But talking about Iverson, just with obviously the open shots are one thing, but are there certain shots that you kind of want him to be looking for instead of, you mentioned he's kind of pressing a little bit. Well, what type of shots do you want him to get instead?
I just want to take his normal shots within the rhythm of the offense, and he's had a couple bad shots he's taken. We're pointed out to him, but for the most part, his shots have been, pretty good shots. So he's got to be just a little more patient. He's got to understand, especially when he's driving, they're all coming at him. They're all expecting him to shoot. They're not, there was one time early in the second half where I showed him on the film that he drove and he should hit Garrison wide open in the corner, and he's putting up a shot that was ill-advised, and he's just got to read those situations better. But when you look at his numbers in terms of assists, his numbers are outstanding. I think he's 44-12 right now. So he's almost 4-1 assist to turnover. When you look at that, the biggest glaring thing for him is he's shooting 28% from 3 versus, almost 44 a year ago. So that's where he's got to get back up. He's shooting 94% from the foul line. So he's a better shooter than what he's shooting right now, because you can't shoot 94% from the foul line and not shoot better than he's shooting from the field.
Is that a mechanical thing or like a confidence thing on the 3-point shooting?
I think some of it's just, it's being defended. But I think he's going to snap. Any shooter, they go through slumps, and he's in a slump right now, and he's just got to fight his way out of it. And that's just the mental toughness and putting the time in. And I'm confident in both areas with him. He's mentally tough. He'll He'll get himself out of this. I guarantee that. He's too good.
We'll go back. We'll go back to Paul Jones. Paul, go ahead.
Coach, back to Tolu. How is he kind of? Obviously, this has been a frustrating year for him from an injury standpoint. How is he holding up mentally, and how difficult is it from your standpoint to make sure he is patient so he can be 100% healthy?
You know, it's a pain tolerance thing. He could play right now, but he can't really move to the level he needs to be effective. Like defensively, he tried to go on Monday when we practiced, and he just couldn't do it. So I took him out and said, "Hey, you gotta stop, because it's not helping you and it's not helping the team." And he felt better yesterday. He showed up yesterday and got a lift in, did some, shooting on his own, just not jumping, but just standing over there shooting with one of the graduate assistants. But it's hard for him. But he's been through some similar situations, both Western Kentucky, and he's just got to fight through it. I mean, kids are more resilient than we are as old people.
We'll go to John Sokoloff and then Theo to wrap it up. John, go ahead.
Ben, the Colorado State game, I know you were talking about late game stuff, but it was your fourth game this season where you had 4+ players in double figures. Is that a good sign as you guys are heading into conference play, that there's a lot of distribution within the scoring of this relatively new group so far?
Yeah, having good balance and having multiple guys, 4 and 5 guys in double figures, is always, to me, been a sign that you're a good team when you can do that. I mean, last year, we had 3 guys that consistently were there, and that was it. And, we have different guys that can get there too. Last game, I mean, it was JD that had 13 points. Garrison made 3 threes in the first half, really looked solid. I thought that at times Shaq played really well, and he ended up 5-14. But he did some really positive things that helped build the lead. Where we had the lead with the ball in the first half, 25-13, or 25-14, with a chance to go up 13, and had a turnover on a attempted lob to DJ. Just every play matters, and when you're playing at the highest level, you see it more and more, because teams make you pay when you make mistakes.
Theo, go ahead to finish this off.
Obviously, pretty early in the season, you guys have dealt with some injuries. You said your expectation for this team was the NCAA tournament. Based on the resume so far, does Mississippi State deserve to be in it as of now?
No, as of right now, we wouldn't be. But the good news for us is we've got 10 or 11 games in our conference coming up where they're all quad 1 games against really good teams. I explain that to our team, and we're right there. We're close enough to where we had a chance. We're down 3 at the half after being down 14 to start the game against Minnesota, and had the game tied with less than a minute to go. We had an 8-point lead with 6 minutes to go. We're not far away. We've just got to keep grinding away and hopefully get healthy here so we can be at full strength. Rocket hasn't still been at full strength. I mean, when you look at him, his hip's not where it needs to be for him to be at his very best. He's in there getting treatment right now. But we're not that far away. And the good news for us is we have the opportunities coming up, and we just got to make sure that we take care of business tomorrow against Georgia State, because we cannot afford to lose that game, and that game is a good win if we win, because they're going to win their league again. That's why we're playing them. They're picked to win their league. They won it last year. They're going to be in the Institute tournament, and we got to take that opportunity.